I'm working in the New Perspectives Access 2007 textbook, working in Tutorial 7. I'm on page AC 378, the review assignment, and we're going to take a look at Step 2. We've opened our database and we're looking at this report. What they want us to do in the report is to end up with a report that looks like the one on this page. First of all, let's go to the bottom of the page because it's important to know what page number we're on. This is page 3 of 3. We see a total and we see a label for the total above the page number. This is the last page of the report. Now look at the page header. You see the title for this report. We see the company ID, the page, the company name, so on and so forth. All of the labels are wide enough that we can read them, and all of the data text boxes are wide enough so that we can read them. Now what I'm going to do in this report is I'm going to do the broad level changes first, and then I'm going to do the smaller changes. And the smaller change is actually fitting this report to 3 pages. That's the thing I'm going to do last. So let's launch into it. I'm going to go ahead and open the report, and it is Products by Company. And one of the first things I see when I look at this report is that my caption says it's a form, not a report. So I'm going to go into Layout View here, open up my property sheet. I'm going to find my properties for my report, and I'm going to change the caption to RPT instead of FRM. Okay. And I'm going to close the property sheet. Okay, the next thing when I look at this report is I see that this auto format has been removed. So from Layout View, I'm going to go into Auto Format and I'm going to change it to None. So it's been removed. The picture I'm going to remove. Why do I know that? Because that's what they had us do in the first section of Tutorial 7. That's what they want us to do here. The next thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to make sure that my labels and my text boxes are wide enough. So I'm just going to move down through here. Okay, linear foot, I can see that is not wide enough. So I'm going to bring that out. Now it's wide enough, and I'm just going to kind of take a look through these to see if I have any problem. When you see a word that goes right up against the end there, it's probably a good idea to give it a little more space. So product ID, in product ID I don't need to look at the data because the label is wider than the data. Now I do need to look at my cities. Cities look fine. I'm going to look at my last name and my first name. I don't need to worry about my last name and my first name here because the data is wider. Excuse me, the labels are wider than the data. And in the company name, I have the same sort of issue to make sure that's wide enough. And then with the company ID is wider than the data, so I don't need to worry about that. Okay. The next thing that I see here is once that I've removed the auto format, I do want alternate line color. So I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to go into Home, and I'm going to take a look at my alternate backfill, and I'm just going to set it to automatic. And now I have my alternate backfill. I'm going to go ahead and save this. The next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that I add my total. There's no total here, so I'm going to add that. Good place to do this is I'm just going to come down here to Product ID because I would like to count the number of product IDs. So do More, and I'm going to do with a total here. What do I want a total on? I want a total on product ID. I want to count it. I just want the ground total, and that should work for me. Let's come down to the bottom. There it is. Okay. Now I've done all the broad level changes in Layout View. Let's go to Print Preview, see what we have here. What we want to make sure is we don't have any blank pages. We don't. And right now I do have 3 pages, but I have not moved my report header into the page header section. So I'm going to come in and do that right now. Okay, so I'm going to go into Design View. And I'm going to bring in some space here. Not a whole lot. All I need is to get this in here. And when I look at my example, you see there's not a lot of space in there. Then I'm going to click on these, and I'm going to bring them all down. And then I'll bring in Products by Company, move that up. And the next thing I see is I have a line, and when I look in Print Preview, I have no line at the top of my page, so I'm going to go back into Design View, and I'm going to add that line. Let's see, there's space in here to do it. So I'll click my line tool, and I'm going to start under Company ID, and I'm going to hold down my Shift key to draw a straight line. And the book has you end under Unit right here. I don't like that. I like basically to define the margin. So I'm going to come clear out to the end of Unit and drop my line there. Okay, so let's Print Preview it again. Now I have 4 pages. We're going to come back to that. Now I want a total. What I want is something that says total products in here next to my 64. So I'm going to use my label tool. And I'm going to come in and click in here and type in total products. I know in the book it doesn't have capital letters. I don't know why. I don't much like that. The green dot here just tells me that this is an unassociated label. I can ignore it. I can, by clicking on it here, I can just plain ignore it, or I can associate it. It does associate with that particular control, so I'm going to associate it. I'm going to take these 2 labels and I'm going to arrange them, and I'm going to make them the same height, and then I'm going to align them so that they work together. And check this out. Remember this. There, I've got it. The other thing I notice is my line's not showing. I drew it in there, but it's not showing. Let's see if we can get it to show. Let's see what's going on with that line. I'm going to select the line, and it's hard to get a hold of that line. And I might, oh, got it the first time. I'm going to go to the property sheet. No wonder my border style is transparent. So I'm going to change it to solid. And we'll check it out again here. There, I got it. So close Print Preview on that. The last thing I'm going to do now is that this report actually looks pretty good. Let's go to Print Preview again. And it is looking like the one we have in the book, with one exception. It is not 3 pages long. They want it to be 3 pages long. That's our last step. To get that, there's no space in this report for me to take out. If you want to reduce the number of pages that a report takes up, the best place to take the space is where it's used most often. And where is it used most often? It's used between each detail item, meaning it comes out of the detail section. I can't get any more space out of the detail section. That's because these controls are grouped. And I can get more space out of it if I ungroup the controls. And I'm not just going to ungroup these, because if I ungroup just these, it's going to change the way that my report lays out. So I'm going to select one control. When I do that, I see the select all handle over here. I'm going to do this. It selects all of them that are in that group. I'm going to go to arrange, and I'm going to go to remove. It takes them all out. Now I'm going to take product, these controls in the details section, and I'm going to move them up slightly. To do that, I'm going to hold down my control key, and I'm going to use my arrow key on my cursor key to move them up slightly. Then I held down my control key and I pushed my arrow key twice. If I push my arrow key again, I might get a little more space. Let's just try it. Or I might move them to the next section. Didn't want to do that. So I'm going to undo that. And then I'm going to grab the details, bottom of the detail section, and I'm going to bring it up. It doesn't matter how far I bring it up because it won't wipe out those controls. And I'm going to go to Print Preview, and I'm going to see how many pages I have. I have page 3. Can you believe that taking one row of dots out of the detail section eliminated a half a page out of your report? That's the end of this section.